Hey, what's up, everybody? BDL44 coming at you in another video. Yes, that face was done purposefully because 8 picks. The Knicks and the Utah Jazz have, of course, re-engaged in negotiations for Donovan Mitchell. And I don't have any skin in the race. You know, I'm not in this situation at all as a Laker fan, just watching from the sidelines. But it becomes a point where you understand that the reason why we haven't been able to see any transactions take place is because of trades like this by Danny Ainge, where he prices something that he has so high because of his rebuilding effort that it makes it so that it's impossible for anybody to move if the trade actually takes place, because he's keeping the price on everything across the board, not just his own things, but everything above value. He's controlling the market. And it becomes a situation where it's like, look, I respect what you're doing, and I understand you could give a damn about anything other than your team, but you're going to ruin a lot of things by doing stuff like this in a time like this, is what I'm saying. Like, it becomes a point where the NBA has to look at that selfish team and say, yo, you are mucking up the entire situation for the entire situation, for the entire association. That's what I'm trying to say. He's mucking up the market for the entire association. Now, the Knicks, if they want to pay this price tag, I don't have a problem with that in normal circumstances. But right now, if they do this type of thing, it's going to make it impossible for anybody else to make any moves, just like it was earlier before the offseason. The market is trying to correct itself, get back into a place where things make sense. This is just going to make it worse. Now, I understand that we're in inflation, real life inflation, and so that has to reflect what's taking place here. But the system itself does not allow for that to make any sense yet. That's essentially what I'm saying. You can't harbor all of these picks. At some point, you have to give them up or relinquish them if you don't use them properly. So when you trade them around like this, eventually you're going to start mucking things up in a way that makes it so that it's difficult to move properly with those assets. Now, they need to take that into account when considering all of this. And I don't know that they are, to be completely honest with you. So you talk about Kevin Durant trying to get moved and all that. If they execute this trade right here, it's a good chance he doesn't get moved before the season starts. I'm just letting you guys know right now, this doesn't help things if this happens. Because what ends up happening is now the price tag on everything else has to match this nonsense. So yes, a lot of people are going to be upset about the trade as it pertains to, wow, you're asking for a lot. And I am too. It's absolutely absurd. But it's deeper than that. It's much deeper than that. Because what we're facing is this KD situation, which is definitely going to affect pretty much everything going forward when we know we have negotiations coming up in the league. And these negotiations are going to determine a lot, and if they don't go well, there's going to be a lockout. Now, stuff like this makes it so that it doesn't go well when you have a KD holdout situation. That's essentially what I'm saying. That makes it so that you can start seeing a domino effect of where things just get a lot worse with that situation because of stuff like this. Now, I hope I'm wrong, because I'm just a civilian watching on the sidelines, but I pay very close attention to this stuff. And this, if this happens, it's gonna lock things up, and it's gonna have a domino effect that could potentially lead to a lockout. And I'm not kidding. Not to say that lockout isn't happening anyway, because I think it is. But this doesn't help. This doesn't help. My request is that the Knicks and the Utah Jazz do not make this trade until the Nets figure their situation out with KD. Let that transaction take place first. I don't care if you agree to it or not. Let that transaction take place first, then execute this one. That way, at least if you muck up the market, that situation isn't messing up the entire association, because that's exactly what it's going to do. It's exactly what it's going to do if he holds out. Teams are not going to be able to make trades. It's going to be situations where he's going to get even more frustrated. You're going to see that situation over there in Brooklyn get a lot worse. And I get it. The Knicks, being their rival, probably wouldn't mind seeing that. But I'm telling you, this is a bigger problem. If you like watching basketball and you didn't like that little break we had during the pandemic, you're going to hate the lockout that's going to take place because of all that's going on with this KD stuff, the Kyrie stuff, the Ben Simmons stuff, AD stuff, everything that's taken place over since the last negotiations. It's going to cap off with this KD situation going about as bad as possible. If things like this play out the way I see it in my head. So yeah, that's what I'm telling you guys, man. I look at things differently. You guys know I'm a different type of guy. When I look at stuff, I'm seeing it from an angle that 9 out of 10 aren't looking at. And this is definitely one of these situations. It's a bad trade. It's a bad trade. And we put an emphasis on the word bad for entirely different reasons now. So no, I don't think this should happen yet. Just yet. I'm not saying this trade shouldn't happen. Look, man, if I really want to break it down, and you guys know me, I'm pretty sure I could justify this price tag. That's the funny thing about all of this. Based on inflation, based on the fact that Julius Randle, because look at it, I didn't even tell you the whole thing. I'm so outraged. They want Julius Randle, Toppin, Grimes, quickly, R.J. Barrett, 8 picks and 3 swaps. Now the 8 picks and the 3 pops is the key to everything, because the rest of those players are just going to be salary matches for Donovan Mitchell's 4-year, $30 million situation. Maybe you throw on one of those extra young players just to make it work. But the basis of the situation is going to be Julius Randle at 4 years at $23 million. It's the bulk of the entire situation. And likely R.J. Barrett's $10 million contract, and he's going to be up for extension very soon. They're going to have to negotiate with him in Utah. So maybe New York would rather not, and that's why they would throw him in. Now, the key to why I think I could justify this is because if I'm inflating Donovan Mitchell's price tag by itself, if I'm just looking at it by itself, and I'm saying, okay, I want 6 picks for Donovan Mitchell, guess what? I'm looking at Julius Randle, and I'm saying that's a salary dump. 2 more picks. That's what you're seeing there. That's exactly what you're seeing there. And so, yeah. And then the quickly situation, if they want to save themselves a pick or something, they're probably going to have to throw in pick quickly. If they want to save themselves a pick, they got to throw in top. It's going to be that kind of thing. If you want to save a swap, you better throw in Grimes, that kind of thing. So I don't think Utah gets all of this, but they're probably only going to be missing 2 of these things. 2 things probably will be missing from the final trade, if I'm guessing, because Danny Ainge is going to keep his foot on the gas as it pertains to this price tag being way up in the sky, whether we sing against it or not. It's going to be what it's going to be for him, because he's got to rebuild, and he's got to get it right the first time, just like the Nets got to get it right the first time, as we talked about earlier. The thing about it is Donovan Mitchell is highly inflated, and I respect this game. I say it all the time, man. I got him super underrated on this channel based on how I speak about him in this situation. And I respect that to be the case, but at the same time, I just have to keep doing so because he's not the player that they're trying to price tag him at, in my humble opinion. I think he can do some fantastic things in a fantastic situation, but if you leave him with lesser talent, it's going to be difficult for him to win a championship at this price tag, especially if you're giving up all this stuff. Now, the Knicks don't have the greatest young core or anything like that. Some of these contracts are not very good, but at the end of the day, they do have a nice set of young players that, you know, you're going to have to let go of. Some of which may turn into something quickly. Toppin, Grimes, all 3 of these guys have upside that you really can't determine. R.J. Barrett, we already know is going to be an all-star someday very soon. Julius Randle has already made an all-star team, and we've seen what he looks like at his best. So it's like, yeah, do you make a move like this if you're the Knicks? If you can try to save yourself on the price tag, all right, fine. If you're going to do that, if that's what your dream is, bring Donovan Mitchell and pair him up with, Brunson and go for it. Talented guys, man. It's going to be fun to watch, but I just know better. That's not a championship team. It's just not. Especially if you're going to relinquish all of this. You're going to make a similar mistake as you did when you acquired Carmelo Anthony. You're going to deplete your entire team. You're going to bring yourself less, and you're not going to be good enough. And that's just why you find another way. Now, I know Mitchell's on a 4-year deal, so if you're trying to bring him to New York, you've got to trade for him. But in my mind, this is worth waiting a year. I'll wait a year to get that contract down, get a year off that contract, so I ain't got to pay that price. Let his value shake out as it's going to be. And the worst case scenario is he plays an amazing year wherever they end up trading him, if they end up trading it, and you get to trade it with the team that's traded for it at a lesser price. Because I am not doing a deal with Danny Ainge for Donovan Mitchell. He's going to have to stop somewhere else. I'm sorry. If I'm the Knicks, he's stopping somewhere else. You trade him to New York, you trade him to somewhere else, And he gonna tell you he wants to be a Knick next year. You play out one season, we trade for him again in the offseason. Because this price tag is not doable. And next year's price tag probably will be. And that's how I look at it, man. You can wait a year on Donovan. I'm sorry. Just wait a year. Y'all ain't win the championship anyway. You know you're not. You know you're not. And if the plan is for him to be on tap for multiple years, then just wait a year, dude. Literally. Let Danny Ainge figure himself out. Because at the end of the day, they need to get rid of Donovan Mitchell because they need to get as many picks as possible. That's part of the conversation here. Can they start the season with Donovan Mitchell? Of course. Are they happy if they do? Hell no. They want all them damn picks that you got. Think about that, New York, because you have those picks. You have them. Victor Wembanyama might be one of those picks that you're trying to give up for Donovan Mitchell. They're trying to get those picks from you because they know that. And you need to keep sight of that when you're sitting here dreaming about Donovan Mitchell in New York. Because they won't mess around and get him for real. And you guys going to have your nice little shooting guard, point guard situation, and y'all ain't even getting nowhere near the finals. And Victor going to be in Utah developing like Giannis. And that is something you do not need. You already gave away Jalen Duren. I told you that was a bad decision. And now you're going to do this? I'm telling you, New York, you bad because you do stuff like this, man. And you never learn. You never learn. We watch you do this stuff. 30, 40 years you've been doing this kind of stuff. Making your fans unhappy. You never learn. And bring this gimmicky crap to your team for this ridiculous price tag. And you're going to be as bad as Minnesota's going to be in a couple years. You'll see what I'm talking about. Donovan's going to want out of there. He's going to want out of there. You don't see that coming. But 2 years down the road, if y'all ain't better than what you are right now, Donovan's going to want out of there. So, look, y'all keep playing around. Have fun. Have fun. I hope he loves New York. I hope Brunson, you guys love New York. Because y'all ain't winning nothing there if y'all give up too much to bring in one of them pieces like Donovan Mitchell. Not enough. This is a price tag that you can argue for Kevin Durant if he wasn't demanding out. Which is also why this price tag is so high, because they're price tagging their product, Donovan Mitchell, like Kevin Durant, who doesn't want out. That's exactly what you're seeing here. They're pricing that in because of Kevin Durant's request out. Also one of the picks, in my opinion. That's why the price tag's so high. When you have the presence of stuff like that going on where people want out, guys who don't necessarily want out cost more. Which is why what Kevin Durant is doing is really, really damaging. So, I think we got it all out. I didn't really have time to make this video because I'm trying to get prepared for all the stuff that I got going on. Celebrating the birthday this weekend. And so this felt like an unnecessary thing to talk about until I started fully realizing that New York really wants Donovan Mitchell. And I think this price tag today, based on all that we understand, may actually be above fair price. Above. And if you think about it, a lot of times trades do end up executing for above fair price. That's normal. Unfortunately, we got to adjust our thinking for what fair price actually is. And that is difficult in this market. So, that is what I see there. They're engaging talks. I hope New York wakes. I hope Brooklyn understands that it's important they get on the ball right now if they're going to trade Kevin Durant. If not, get ready for war. As simple as that. If you think you're just going to waltz into the season, you're going to get a championship team, you guys have got it messed up. And I'm going to say a worse word in my natural thought, but I'm telling you, don't play like that with Kevin Durant. Please don't do that to yourselves, Brooklyn. Please. You're going to embarrass yourselves thinking that man going to be subordinate. Ain't going to go that way. It ain't going to go that way. So, just, if it takes another conversation with Kevin Durant, right now, another one, if it takes that, have it. If you're Brooklyn, have it. Because if this goes down, it's going to get significantly more hard to trade Kevin Durant for a price that you're happy with. Significantly more hard. So, yeah. Brooklyn's on the clock. That's the elephant in the room. They're on the clock. BDL 44, I thank you all for watching. I'm out.